Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of INFA, the Indian Federation of Animal Health Companies, its management committee, all subcommittee chairmen, and member of INFA, I welcome you all for this webinar cum workshop on import and export of veterinary pharmaceuticals and nutraceuticals. As you all know that INFA is one of the major organizations working in the animal health sector, helping all the stakeholders to do their business and especially to uplift the farmer and resolve the farmer's issue through our company members. Myself as chairman of Import and Export Subcommittee, along with Mr. Pasricha, chairman of Feed Supplement Subcommittee, we decided to conduct a program like this, which can help our member company colleagues to do the business at ease when they are importing or exporting anything for their business. So on behalf of both of the subcommittee and INFA, I welcome again all the participants and especially our two esteemed speakers, Dr. P. Malavalan, ADC Chennai Port, and Dr. Jim Lee, quarantine officer at Calcutta Airport, for sparing their time, valuable time, and accepting our invitation. Thank you very much. I'm sure all of us, those who have joined, they will get benefited out of their experience, their learning, how we can learn more about the export-import policies, the regulations, and other small things which we are missing. So that is, after this, I'm sure everybody will get benefited. This event will be moderated by Dr. Smita Mahajan of Zoetis, and the question and answer session will be handled by Dr. Nitin of INTAS. With this, I invite our President INFA, Mr. Vijay Teng, to say a few words. Mr. Vijay Teng, please. Sir,
you are muted, Doctor.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Verma. I think you have given a wonderful and a nice introduction to the program. Well, I will also, on behalf of Managing Committee, take this opportunity to thank the speakers, Dr. Manavalan and Dr. Jim Lee, for accepting our invite. I would like to say that these two subcommittees, especially the Import-Export Subcommittee led by Dr. Verma, has been doing an incredible work, especially attending to the various ongoing issues and matters related to imports and exports. And this committee has been working very closely with the subcommittee on feed supplements led by Mr. Pasricha. And the two subcommittees with the experts drawn from various organizations as part of the members of the subcommittee have been attending on priority all the key issues impacting the industry and impacting the members. I would like to say that India is a well-known hub for pharmaceutical research and manufacturing. In fact, last year, our pharmaceutical exports were to the tune of almost $20.7 billion US. We are growing every year in terms of the value, and we are the third largest in terms of the units. While we are talking about this as a pharmaceutical as a whole, I must say and admit that Indian animal health industry exports are on the threshold of major growth. In fact, we are going to experience a significant jump, both in the domestic revenues as well as the exports going forward. And having a discussion on import and export, I don't think there could have been a better time, better opportunity than this. We, as a country, have been facilitating, while we are engaging, members are engaging in manufacturing, research, and providing the global level quality products and solutions to the farmers, animal owners. We are also making and enabling the seamless availability of products for the farmers and animal owners. And this is done through maybe imports. Some of the imports, like we are importing APIs, finished formulations, biologicals, nutritionals. I must admit that the government has played a very important role in supporting and encouraging this industry. Especially the exports and imports have been structured in such a way that we have seen some good policies, like we have the free trade agreements, like we have SAFTA, which is the South Asian Free Trade Area Agreement. We have the CEPA, which is the Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement, and the ASEAN, which is going to help the Indian animal health industry, both in terms of making and exporting our products to the neighboring countries and offering customized therapeutic solutions. Though our base today may not be very large in terms of our estimates show that our business may be to the tune of around 200 million US dollars, but we are on the threshold of a major growth in the days to come. And I'm sure this discussion will facilitate a lot of focus on the challenges which are being faced either for the imports or exports, and there would be a lot of queries, questions, and this is a wonderful opportunity when the two stalwarts from the government are there with us and who are going to facilitate a lot of supportive discussions and deliberations during this workshop. So thank you, and I am sure that this will be one in a series of discussions which we have started, and I'm sure this discussion will be ongoing for the future as well. So over to you, Dr. Verma.
Now I will like Mr. Satish Pasricha to say a few words.
On behalf of INFA Subcommittee of Feed Supplements, I once again convey my greetings to respectable speakers, Dr. Manavalan and Dr. Jimli Sarma. I also convey my greetings to all INFA colleagues and associates. Everybody knows the production performance of Indian poultry and dairy animal is much lower than the desired optimum levels. Feed supplements and feed additives are playing a great role to increase the same. Feed Supplement Subcommittee came into existence to get due share of importance and attention from feed supplements, for feed supplements and feed additives from both regulators as well as consumers. Slowly we realize that the lack of uniform knowledge and understanding is the main hindrance. That is the reason INFA came out with white paper on feed supplements. Today, in addition to learning and validating our knowledge and practices about import and export of veterinary pharmaceuticals and biologicals, we are also going to learn and validate our knowledge about import and export of feed supplements and additives. In order to maintain good health, enhance growth and productivity, the usage of feed supplements and additives have been increasing. Import and exports of the same has not only been bridging gap between demand and supply, but adding to the cost effectiveness and technological upgradation. At Subcommittee of Feed Supplements and Subcommittee of Import and Exports, It has been our constant endeavor to understand and share legal and technical aspects of identity of feed supplements under prevailing laws, in which HSN system used in import and exports has been the key. Today we feel privileged being listener to respectable speakers Dr. Manavalan and Dr. Jimli Sharma. I'm sure they will quench our thirst to know, as a result of which we will consolidate wherever needed, validate wherever needed, and improve wherever needed. Good wishes to all. Over to Bamaji.
Now I think Smita can take over, and then Smita Mahajan, please.
A very good afternoon to one and all. It's time to start on the learning voyage, refresh and update our understanding about the Indian regulatory and animal quarantine. And for this today, we have invited eminent speakers. On behalf of all INFA members, I extend a warm welcome to our distinguished guest and the first speaker for today, Dr. P. Manavalan, who is a native of Puducherry, started his professional career in 1995, served as a Directorate of Health and Family Welfare, Government of Puducherry, as a lecturer in pharmacy in Mother Teresa Postgraduate and Research Institute of Health Science till April 2010. He started his career as a drug inspector in CDSCO North Zone, Ghaziabad in April 2010 and was actively involved in the regulatory inspection of manufacturing units situated in entire North Indian states and union territories. Joint inspection for issuance, revalidation of COPPs as per the WHO GMP certification schemes, joint investigations and inspection of vaccine, blood bank, LVP, medical device and manufacturing units, market surveillance of medicines, legal survey sampling, joint surprise inspection and raids, follow-up for not of standard quality drugs, and launching of prosecutions are just to mention a few. He was then transferred and assigned for a setup of new subzonal office of CDSU at Chandigarh and carried out regulatory inspection of manufacturing facilities till March 2014. He has acted as a team leader and observed audits in 2012, WHO NRA assessment, and also for US FDA, MHRA, and WHO pre-qualification inspection as observer on behalf of CDSU. He is a trainer for the Technical Data Associates and Pharmacovigilance Program of India as well. He has worked in biological division at CDSU headquarters, New Delhi, and looked after the approval process of biotech, rDNA products, vaccines and serum, blood products, stem cells, and cellular-based therapy products to the list. He has served as an Assistant Drug Controller India, Central Drug Standard Control Organization South Zone, Chennai, and looked after the regulations of the central licensing approval process of the entire Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Puducherry, and Lakshadweep. Currently, he is working as the Assistant Drug Controller India at the Office of the ADC, Seaport, Customs House, Chennai, and looking after the import and export of drugs and pharmaceuticals. Dr. P. Manavalan has been nominated recently by the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, Government of India, to attend the second WHO workshop on implementation of recommendations to assure the quality, safety, and efficacy of recombinant human papillomavirus-like particle vaccine at Xiamen University, China. He has published 17 research papers in various national and international journals and has also acted as a co-chairperson and an evaluator in Scientific Services Committee of Indian Pharmaceutical Congress. He has been actively involved as a team member, biological division in India, WHO NRA benchmarking status of vaccine indicator, which was held from the 13th to 17th of February in 2017, which consisted of 16 experts across the world, including USA, WHO Geneva, Thailand, Germany, Indonesia, Italy, Netherlands, Egypt, and got the functional NRA with the maturity level 4 by WHO Geneva. recipient of appreciation from DCGI for outstanding performance during the WHO NRA assessment of 2017. He is a voracious learner and propagator of consistent knowledge enhancement for empowerment and development. With this introduction, may I now call upon Dr. P. Manavalan to please share with us the presentation on import and export of veterinary pharmaceuticals and biologicals, regulatory prospect.
Respected Chairman of the Feed Supplements, respected Chairman of the IMPEX, and all dignitaries on the board, dear participants and my dear colleague, thank you very much for such a wonderful opportunity given for me to share my little experience in the field of drug regulations, which would be definitely improve or benefit the ultimately for our nations. So first of all, I always believe that the success of any organization depends upon two key parameters. The one is the involvement of the top level management and strong technical team. The IMPHA is such an organization having fulfilling the two critical parameters, and with this they are fulfilling their vision and missions. Thank you, IMPHA, for the opportunity. Second, the greatest gift God gave us to take a right decision at right time. One who take a right decision at right time require basic knowledge about the process and proper guidance. In this, first I would like to dedicate my sincere gratitude to my organization, especially the Drug Controller General of India, Dr. V.G. Somani, has given a special permission to attend this seminar. Thank you so much, sir. Basically, our organization is a central drug standard control organization under Director General of Health Services, Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, Government of India. Our vision is to protect and promote public health in India. How to safeguard and enhance the public health by assuring the safety, efficacy and quality of drugs, cosmetics and medical device available in the country. In my entire 30 to 40 minutes, my discussions, I divided into three sectors. The first is introduction about my organization. Second, what is the exactly process involved in the import and the registrations of drugs, especially for veterinary drugs and vaccines. And finally, what are the critical parameters to be considered before release of the consignments? So, my organization is headed by Drug Controller General of India, who is sitting in the headquarters in New Delhi. Headquarters is responsible for a fixed responsibility, and we have around 6 zonal offices at various metropolitan cities, and we have around 6 sub-zonal offices at all distinct important places: Bangalore, Chandigarh, Jammu, Goa, Guwahati, Indore, and Varanasi. And we have around 13 port offices under our control. Recently, we have started Krishnapattinam and Visakhapattinam office. In our control, there are 8 laboratories under our control. Depends upon the category of the product we used to prefer, and we are used to send the product to the particular laboratories. So this is the basic, the Drugs and Cosmetics Act, through which we are implementing whatever the regulations. This is the legal provisions existing in our act. This act was passed in the year of 1940. The rules came in 1945. The purpose of this act this is like a concurrent list of the constitutions. This is a central act enforced by both central and state government. Each state having their own mechanism of regulations, and it is extended to all of India. Central government, CDSO is the responsible. CDSO is on behalf of the central government, CDSO delivering their duties. And each state having their own mechanism of regulations. What we are controlling? Through this act, we are regulating import, manufacture, sale and distribution of drugs, cosmetics and medical devices available in the countries. So through this act, we are controlling all entire import, manufacture, sale and distributions of drugs, cosmetics and medical devices. In this act, there are three bodies there. One is the advisory, executive, analytical. Advisory is a drug technical advisory board, is a apex board, and drug consultative committee headed by DCGI. So from the time to time, we used to amend the rules and regulations in order to keeping the view to facilitate the trade and the real-time situation. And executive bodies, licensing authority, we are all on controlling authority and drug inspectors. These are all the comes under the executive category of the post. And then analytical, central drug laboratories, drug control laboratories in states and government analysts. So the CDSO having their fixed responsibilities. The central responsibility and state responsibility is clearly defined in the drugs and cosmetics. So we are solely responsible for the approval of new drugs as per the definition rule number 122E, new drug approvals including vaccines and clinical trials. This is the responsibility of the central government, especially CDSO. And import of drugs, medical device and cosmetics. Central licensing approved authority for blood banks, vaccines, large volume parenterals, sera, etc. Standards for setting drugs, setting up standards for drugs. And then amendments of act and rules. From time to time, we used to amend the existing rules and regulations for ease of doing business as well as to protect and promote public health. So recently we have amended, we have issued a number of this thing. For example, in GSR 1337, that means your manufacturing license perpetual nature. Initiated previously, every 5 years, you have to renew your license. Either it's a wholesale license or a retail license or a sale and other manufacturing license. It's a every 5 years you have to repeat the same process. So in order to keeping the ease of doing business, the government of India, especially through the CDSO, they have issued one notification that the validity of the license is perpetual nature. So only you have to pay your renewal fees. The terminology is called the retention fees. Once in 5 years, before 3 months expiry of the license, 3 months you have to pay the fees. These are all the latest amendments in our rules and regulations. And then state responsibilities. For example, the major responsibility of the state, they used to issue the license for manufacture, sale and distributions, and monitoring the quality of drugs and cosmetics, and investigation and prosecutions. In the case of the first point, license for manufacture, sale and distribution, here also some of the latest notifications that in case of manufacturing, grant of manufacturing license, the applicant has to apply to approach both central as well as state government. So the premises will be jointly inspected by the drug inspector appointed by the central government as well as the state government based on the recommendation of the observations of the CDSO, the license will be issued to the concerned state licensing authority. So these are all some of the latest this thing. Next, so we used to deliver our thing is by way of act, rules, schedules. These are the various mode of implementing the rules and regulations. So pertaining to the current topics, in our headquarters level, there is a separate dedicated divisions that is called veterinary division at CDS headquarters, is mainly involved in the following activities: grant of marketing authorization in Form 45, Form 46, field trial permission for veterinary vaccines, Form 28D permission, that means manufacturing license permissions, issuance and renewal of registration certificate with import license. This is very important. So, okay, the issuing authority is the DCGI, licensing authority is the DCGI. If you want to import any veterinary drugs, whatever may be, any drug, you have to get the registration certificate along with the import licenses from the DCG office, and issuance of NOC for Form 29 and issuance of test license on Form 11. These are the various functional activities of the veterinary divisions at headquarters level. Before granting approval or marketing authorization, there are a number of steps involved, and multiple agencies were involved in the approval of veterinary vaccines. For example, Department of Animal Husbandry, we used to coordinate with the Department of Animal Husbandry and Dairying, and your CPC, SCA, that means Committee for the Purpose of Control and Supervision of Experimental on Animals, and Genetic Engineering Appraisal Committee, and then Review Committee on Genetic Manipulation in Biotechnology. So these are the various interrelated agencies. Before granting any marketing authorization, we used to collaborate with other agencies. Next, come to the functions of the port officers. What exactly port officers are doing? The purpose of posting of assistant drug controller at port level, in order to facilitate the custom, first of all, in order to facilitate the custom, we are the technical people responsible for the quality, safety, and efficacy of the drugs, cosmetics, medical devices. So before permitting, before clearance by any drugs by the customs authority, whatever related items, they used to refer to drug controller who is sitting in the level. So first, scrutiny of the bills of entry and verifications of the shipping bills for import and export respectively. And we used to maintain a statistical data for import and exports, because time to time we have to submit the data to the parliament or to the authority or some RTI, and coordination with the Commissioner of Customs in case of policy making and other decision making, and the examination of post parcels and couriers. Even if you want to send some small quantity of drug for personal use, also that also need to get NOC from the port officer, those who are sitting in the port terminals, either airport or seaport. And then examination of consignment and risk-based sampling of imported goods. Here also the ADC office have a technical team to debut for sampling and send it for the designated laboratory in order to ascertain the quality of the imported drugs. So just this is, for example, it's a Chennai office. This is the very oldest office. It was instituted in 1948. The ADC office look after the enforcement of the Chapter 3 of the Drugs and Cosmetics Act and Rule and various other applicable rules. We have in Chennai office, we have many Chennai Seaport, Tuchikan Port, Kottupalli, Ennur Port, and then special economic zones where from all the point of view we used to get a bill of entries. We have around total of 31 container freight station located in and around 45 kilometers from this office. This is one of the challengings. Whenever you are going for sampling or whenever going for inspecting the container freight station, we have to travel in and around because nothing in and nearby our office. So this is one of the challenges in the seaport. In the airport, everything is under control. We can see the cargo immediately within the ground floor. But here we have to travel many places. And samples are drawn as per the risk-based criteria from the imported consignment and got it tested at various notified government laboratories and approved private testing laboratories as prescribed in various pharmacopoeia under Rule 40 of Drugs and Cosmetics. Actually, from 2016 onwards, we are getting the bill of entry through ICE gate. That means the custom device. For drugs, cosmetics, and medical device referred through ICE gate, and clearance also given in the single window system. However, it is very difficult to implement 100% paperless processing because of this very important point. It will useful for the importer as well as for the regulators. It will minimize our dwell time. So there even most of the importers or representative of the importer not uploading all mandatory documents. This is one of the point I want to emphasize for the betterment of the system, both for importer as well as regulator. Ultimately, our aim is to reduce the dwell time and made access to the quality drugs, pharmaceuticals. So still, whenever I'm opening my single window system, the mandatory documents even they are not uploading. They are uploading some COA. They are free to upload that RC and Form 10 like that, and then cannot raise the query to the import. This was now this was actually settled. This queries has been settled. However, unless otherwise, once the query is raised, unless otherwise, if you are not responded, it is not at all processed further. So that is the reason whenever you have received any query from our portal, you have to give a proper justification with the documentation. So immediately then only we can able to release your consignment. Otherwise, if you are not, you are failed to respond that query. Unless otherwise, it's very difficult. And one more pitfall is cannot generate the online report. Hence, unable to maintain the database of imported goods to reply the parliament questions, RTA, and public grievances. This is also one of the gaps. Unable to locate the CFS details because CFS details also not available in our desk. So unless otherwise the representative of the importer, they may approach my office, or this consignments lying with some particular CFS. Then only we can able to know. Otherwise, in the single window system, you don't have any information about the things. So these are all the some of the why I'm telling. These are all something useful information which definitely resolve or minimizes the dwell time. So dwell time is one side is we have to pay a huge demurrage to the vessels. Another side, right time is very difficult to supply at right time. What are the list of items? What are the list of a list of items covered under ADC only? See, normally custom used to refer whatever the consignments related to drugs, either it's a bulk form or formulations, medical device, and including in vitro diagnostics, cosmetics, and drug intermediates. These are the common commodities normally referred by the customs through ice gate, sometimes manually also. So this is our pictorial representation about our clearance process. This is easy for understanding. So I put some pictorial representation. After receipt of your bill of entries, either through by ice gate or sometimes through by manual, our technical team, before giving, we used to give some reference number in order for internal, what is the retrieval and easy maintenance of data. After the receipt of your application, either hard or by the ice gate, we used to scrutinize. We have set of people with a technical background used to scrutinize the application as per the existing rules and regulations, and if fulfilling the everything, including we used to see the sample whether the particular consignment, the labeling, whether the fulfilling the labeling requirements or not. If fulfilling the label requirements, next step whether it's required any testing or not, or in case some critical products like vaccines, blood products, sera, these are all 100% we have to test. Before release of consignment, we have to perform testing 100% in case of veterinary vaccine, in case of blood products, in case of your medical like critical diagnostic agents, including condom. These are all the 100% we have to test. Human vaccines, okay. And then in addition to this, that also we have some risk-based approach category. So we once in 6 months or once in 1 year. So depends upon the criticality of the item imported. So once it fulfills all the conditions, the ADC used to release the consignment through ice gate or sometimes through manually, depends upon the situations. So this is our clearance procedure. Thing. First, the application, once it's received, scrutinized as per the Drugs and Cosmetics Act, and then we used to draw for sample and then send it to test. But it will testing is a time consuming. Sometimes it will take some 14 days or so. Suppose in case of sterile test, it will take 14 days. So up to 14 days is very difficult to keep your consignment and post. It will lead to a lot of demurrage. Not only demurrage, it leads to congestion at port. So in order to avoid this issue, this is very important point. We have the provision to release the consignment on LG, on legal guarantee. You have to submit on legal guarantee. So you in such a way that we will not utilize, we will not divert the consignment to commercial station or utilization unless otherwise you are cancelling the LG. This is one of the provisions available. So this is noted. Please, all the manufacturers and all importers kindly note this point, because many importers, they may not wear all those things, because it's all depends on, because we are not frequently interacting with importers. Only here we used to interact with the CHA. Some CHA are delivering the duty diligent with the total commitment, but most of the CHA they may not. So they used to stay as long as now, whenever. So there is a provision of release of consignment on basis of LG. That means you have to store your consignment at designated places. You should not consume the consignment. You should not use the material. You should not commercialize the material unless otherwise submit LG cancelled by the authority. This is the thing. This is something about the clearance procedure of our functional activity. In general, suppose if you want to import, anybody want to import any veterinary drugs or veterinary vaccines, what are the essential documents required? The first one is import license in Form 10 or Form 10A. This is the basic requirement. If whatever the commodities comes under the definition of drugs, it's required import license in Form 10 or test license in Form 10A. along with the registration certificate. That means your manufacturing site, the foreign manufacturing site, need to be registered at DCG office. So apart from the basic, the important license, you have to upload certificate of analysis and batch release certificate, along with invoice, packing list, certificate of country of origin, and bill of lading. So these are the mandatory documents essentially required for clearance of your consignment. So here currently what problem we are facing, that most of the importers or represented the importers, CHA, they are not at all uploading all essential documents. They used to upload some COA, some copies, bill of lading, and they will not upload the essential documents. So it leads to the delay in processing applications. Our target is in the seaport maximum of 48 hours, but nowadays we are releasing within 4 hours, 5 hours. But maximum time limit is 48 hours. In airport, 24 hours we have to release the consignment. But however, due to the non-compliance from your side, it is very difficult to comply the time limit set up by the directorate. So this is one of the important message I want to convey to the importer or this manufacturer. You always keep that before this thing, even once landed, you may file your applications, bill of entries, along with all essential documents. This is the only thing. So the particular, this first column is pertaining to your drugs. This is a general table applicable for all intermediates or cosmetics or medical device or some of the chemical also. But the first column is applicable for your this thing, concern. So most of the, in addition to that, many animal feed or animal, what is the, your nutrients, nutraceuticals, many items having a dual purpose. It may be used for both human being as well as animal. For example, all amino acids. Amino acids available in the pharma industry for human consumption as well as for animal feed. In this case, we have the provision of issuing dual use NOC. I will discuss later on. This is very, very important because most of the items we are cleared related to your veterinary products under dual use NOC only. Here also, n number of points I will share. So for the betterment of the system, any drugs, whatever commodities comes under the definition of drugs permitted to our country, either by this 4-5 aspect only. Either you should have import license in Form 10 or registration certificate in Form 41 issued by the Drug Control General of India. Otherwise, you should have DEEC, that is issued by DGFT. Otherwise, you should be a 100% export-oriented unit or CES, Special Economic Zone, or import for export or personal permit. So these are all the various modes in which you have to fulfill any one of the conditions before release of any drugs. Either you should have import license, otherwise DEC or EOU. These are all not covered under drugs and cosmetics. It's exempted for chapter 3rd of the Drugs and Cosmetics Act. Next slide. How you are going to get the things? What are the procedure to get the Form 10? These are the requirements of import and registration. You almost you are all aware that the chapter 3 of the Drugs and Cosmetics Act 1940 governs the import of drugs and cosmetics into India. So for this, you have to submit applications, you have to registration of your overseas manufacturing site and get the import license, and the import license in Form 10 or 10A, or in Form 41. So these are the basic requirements. So the applications you have to make through Sugam portal. We have a dedicated portal that is called Sugam. So those who are want to apply the registration certificate and what is the Form 10, you have to go to the Sugam portal. You have to submit all the mandatory documents along with the prescribed fees. So everything is highlighted in such a fashion. So application in Form 40, you have to fill the many what is the field, and then along with the fees for registration, $10,000 per site, and then $5,000 per drug. And all the payment is not at the manually, so you have to go to bharatghosh.government.in. Apart from this, you have to submit along with Form 40 power of attorney, and also you have to submit the drug sample before what is the registration, and list of countries where marketing authorization or import permission is granted with date, list of countries where marketing authorization or import permission is cancelled or withdrawn. All the information need to be uploaded in the Sugam portal. So in this regard, you may access our CDSO nic.in. It gives all information available in public for the Schedule D1. You have to fulfill this condition also, Schedule D1 and D2. So that Schedule D1 means information and undertaking required to submitted by the manufacturer or his authorized agent with the application form for a registration certificate. So these are the various what are the important points regarding D1, and this is Schedule D2. Information and undertaking required to be submitted by the manufacturer or his authorized agent with the application form for the registration of bulk drugs, formulations, special products for its import into India. So you have to upload all your drug master file, biopharmaceutical information. So in nutshell, the import of any veterinary drugs or vaccines required a registration certificate in Form 41 and import license in Form 10 is essential, it's required. And once these are approved, the post-approval changes, suppose there may be changes in your formulation, so that is called after the approval, whatever the changes you want to do, that comes under the category post-approval changes. The manufacturer or authorized agent shall inform the licensing authority within 30 days. You kindly note down within 30 days in writing in the event of any change in the manufacturing process or in packaging or in labeling or in testing or in documentation of any of the drug pertaining to the registration certificate, and accordingly amendment of $1,800 to be submitted. This is the post-approval changes. In case of major modification, such as change in constitution, addition of another manufacturing site already in the existing, manufacturer or authorized agent shall obtain necessary approval within 30 days by submitting a separate application along with the registration fee as specified in class for the Rule 24A. The post-approval, because once it's approval, whatever the small changes also, you have to notify to the directorate, that means DCG office. In case of major, you have to, within 30 days, you have to apply or inform to our directorate. And then renewal and re-registration is like a fresh registration certificate made 9 months before the expiry of the existing certificate of the current registration certificate. This is also a very important point. So for renewal of applications, you have to apply before 9 months. 9 months before the expiry of the existing certificate. Once you have applied within the prescribed time, you need not to worry also. Whether the DCG office, our director issuing license or not, that is not issue. You have to apply within the stipulated before the expiry of the existing certificate. That means 9 months before the expiry of the existing certificate, the current registration certificate is deemed to be valid, unless otherwise the licensing authority suspended or cancelled your license. And then endorsement, when the site is registered, for more products are added to the existing site, then endorsement application is applied on the existing ORC. So next to the, what are the requirement of import license? So everything's available in the Sugam online system only. There is no manual what is the applications. You have to submit application in Form 8 along with the copy of ORC and undertaking in Form 9. So these all the formats available in the Sugam portal. Copy of your sale license or manufacturing license, and fee of rupees 10,000 for the first drug and 1,000 for each additional drugs. So this is the fee structure of getting the import license. For getting import license, the parent document is the registration certificate. So the getting the registration certificate is a tedious, it is a time-consuming process. For getting the, once you got the RC import license, procedure is very simple. It will take maybe 2 to 3 days. Whereas for registration certificate, it will take even 3 to 6 months. And these are the some of the important points. No drug having the shelf life of less than 60% is allowed for the import. So at any cost, less than 60% shelf life will not be permitted by the import, provided there is a provision, provided that in exceptional cases, the licensing authority may, for the reasons to be recorded in writing, and allow the import of any drugs having lesser shelf life period, but before the date of expiry as declared on the container of the drug. So in this case, normally before booking or before making any agreement with your this thing, foreign manufacturers, you always focus on the shelf life of the product. If less than 60% at the time of arrival, so not at all possible to release, it will we have to re-export unless otherwise some rare exceptional condition, in case of pandemic, in case of any national emergency, with approval of the what is the government, means DCG approval, there may be chances for release of the consignment. Otherwise, the only option is to, you have to take back that product. That means re-export. Drugs which are under the test and released by LG shall not be stored in licensed premises. Okay, drugs which are under the test and released by LG shall be stored in a licensed premises. This is very important point. Once released on LG, it is the responsibility of the importer to stock the consignment or store the consignment under custody. The custodian should be licensed premises, and you should not utilize the drugs unless otherwise the cancellation of the already submitted LG by the authority. All the drugs formulations imported into the India shall fulfill the labeling requirement as prescribed in the Drugs and Cosmetics Rule 1945. The basic document is import license and RC. Once you are having import license and RC, and also the product should fulfill the labeling requirements. Especially for veterinary pharmaceuticals, most of the consignments, in my experience, we are releasing every day a number of consignments based on the dual use only. That means the particular items having the dual use. So for dual use category, even not required any registration, or even not Form 10 is not required. No registration would be required under these rules in respect of an inactive bulk substances to be used for a drug formulation with or without pharmacopoeial conformity. So there is a provision for dual use. So we have what is the issued, the DCGA has issued a lengthy list of dual use items. Whenever you want to import the dual use item, you have to approach the concerned zonal offices. Suppose you are located in Mumbai, means you have to approach our CDSO office Mumbai, and it has some set of applications. You have to fill through online only, that also online, no fees. Within 5 working days, if you are able to apply all what is the essential documents properly, within 5 days, the device NOC will reach you at your registered what is the this thing, email ID or your this thing. This particular point I want to emphasize for the betterment. The applications for dual use NOC may be made well in advance before the actual import to facilitate clearance. The permission for dual use item will be granted by the Deputy Drug Controller India of the respective zones. Other we have 6 zonal offices throughout India. You have to approach the area zone, whereas the importers are applied for dual use NOC after the importation, which results in delay for getting clearance. So this is the practical what is the, we are facing the practical issues day by day. Here what happened, you have filed the bill of entries, the free time may be 4 to 5 days or 6 days, but after once landed your what is the this thing, come on a consignment, then only you are going for the process of applying the dual use NOC, and also for this also online system. For applying your applications, you need to get some user ID and phosphate. Sometimes it is very difficult also, sometimes there may be chances of delaying also. So in order to avoid all those things, consequences, you have to plan in such a way that you have to go through the list of dual use NOC published by the CDSO. So suppose if you want to import that amino acids, which is for only for animal feed, you immediately have to apply the dual use NOC in advance. In the initial course of time, the dual use NOC issued by manually, and moreover, after filing your bill of entries, only you are allowed to apply. But now, even your pro forma invoice you can apply. You can apply with your pro forma invoice. So that much of facilities available. Only thing up to you how you are going to utilize the facility. Otherwise, if you are once the consignment arrived at port, and after getting all the documents and then application, means definitely this leads to lot of what is the demurrage and also lot of pressure on port officers. These are all the documents required, list of documents required for dual use NOC. Just to have a look. So either you have to submit bill of entries, invoice, intent or purchase order or sale contractual. These are the various what is the documents required. Legal undertaking of ₹100 stamp paper. This is very important, because many applications, while you are scrutinizing that the zonal offices, in the legal undertaking, one format is there. You have to submit properly, otherwise your application may be rejected. And then Annexure 1 and Annexure 2 is there. If the drug is imported by the actual user, suppose if you are a manufacturer, if you are importing, then you have to go for annexure 1. Suppose if you're a trader, you have to fill up the annexure 2. In addition to that, you have to, suppose in case you are already having a drug registered in for import with the CDSO, the details also you have to annex. And end use declaration, not for medicinal use. This is very, very important, because in many cases, even we have the provision to inspect the premises, even post-import check. We have the provisions after release. Every month I used to prepare one list. What are all the drugs released under device NOC? Used to inform to the concerned state licensing authority. Please go for this thing, inspection, to verify the utilization details and everything, because most of the, even 90% of the people are very genuine, our importers. Some people, maybe the traders, sometimes there may be misleading the things. They may be imported for not for medicinal purpose. Sometimes they used to divert to the industry, pharma industry, for the sake of the margins, financial benefits. That's need to be corrected. Otherwise, there is a provision. We are regularly doing post-import check through the state licensing authority of the concerned state. So this point is very important for this animal feed supplements. In case of use of animal feed supplement, you have to submit the entire manufacturing process, and also you have to submit the permission from the concerned department and justification for dual use, and you have to enclose your IEC, GST and trade license, justification for quantity of drugs, material and technical address. This is very, very important. You have to submit the justification and also reconciliation data for previous permitted quantity. So these are the various documents required for issuance of device NOC, because most of your animal feeds comes under the category of these device items only. So just I want to show the drugs meant for animal feed supplements or feed premix. These are the various molecule under device NOC. Suppose if you want to tomorrow ascorbic acid only for animal feed or feed premix, you may allow after protections of a device NOC. But the same ascorbic acid also used as a drug, medicinal purpose for human being also. In this case, we have to submit Form 10. So this is a cat on the wall. So this is the area in which we should be very, very, being a regulator, we are focused in this area. Very focused in the before release of the consignment, we used to check whether it's a non-medicinal or medicinal, whether it's a human consumption or it's animal consumption. So we used to check to properly label, sometimes randomly used to draw the sample and test it to confirm the authenticity or whatever the things, quality. So this is the lengthy list. These are all your methionine and amino acids, cholesterol. These are all meant for your animal and veterinary purposes. If you want to import this kind of materials, you have to produce a device NOC issued by your concerned zonal officers located in various parts of our country. Vitamin B1, B2, vitamin K3. Some of the antibiotics and antibacterial also allowed for import under device NOC with a particular distinct strength. For example, madromycin, 1% is allowed based on the device NOC. Whereas if the percentage is more, it's not permissible, you have to go for Form 10 license from the DCG office. So now we have recently included the prozolidine also. Previously we have not included. Now recently we have included prozolidine also in this list, in order to safeguard and in order to for the betterment of the livestock especially for animals. So we have the mechanism to control over the quality of imported drugs. So normally we have the technical staff used to send for the sampling to check the container freight corporation, drawing the samples, the thing, and the consignment from which samples are declared not of standard quality are advised either for confiscation and destructions or re-export to the country of origin from which it was exported, and the same is intimated to all port officers and the customs for further necessary action under the respective act. So I have launched database also last 6 months before. I have even detained one veterinary drug and then re-exported because of not of standard quality. So ADCI office is also rectifies various contraventions under the drugs and cosmetics rules, like labeling under rule, drug import license under rule 23, test license under rule 33, the expiry dates related schedule T. These are the various contraventions available in the other things. Exports. Just I would like to highlight some of the exports, because nowadays as a part of simplification of the process, if the actual manufacturer want to export, even no need to approach the ADC office nowadays. You can directly approach the customs and then your consignment may be shipped. Because of this is one of the latest last 2 years, only we are allowing only merchant only. ADC office also scrutinize the merchant export bills. Whatever the exports by the merchants, we are allowing, but in case of actual manufacturer, we are given a provision, provisions to the custom authority. We have given already instruction to the customs authority, no need to refer to ADC. Or if the export by the actual manufacturer who is holding a valid manufacturing licenses. In case if we have any special doubt on the things, we may refer. Otherwise, we don't want to, because the government of India, the vision is to promote export. So these are all the one of the this thing important point for your things. And narcotic, suppose in case of narcotic drugs, you have to get the this thing NOC from the narcotic commissions. Just this is another 5 minutes. Just I want to highlight some of the testing. This is very important point. We have around 8 notified laboratories, especially for your veterinary product. IVR Itanagar is the affiliated laboratory. So it's veterinary vaccines, all sera, all toxoids, 100% you have to perform test. Before release any consignment, I have to do 100% test on veterinary vaccines, sera and toxoid. Whereas veterinary pharmaceutical, we have the random, process is there. At the first import, 100% I have to draw. Maybe after 6 months one or 1 year one, depends upon the source. So this we have set of risk-based criteria for sampling. So I will share my slides. You can distribute to your members also. So in these laboratories, only the green is related to you, the veterinary vaccine, sera, toxoids, Itanagar. In addition to that, we used to send your veterinary pharmaceuticals to Kolkata, Chennai. We have laboratories. These are the various control measures in case of any declared standard, not of standard quality. So that particular consignment is not permitted for the commercial purpose. These are the control measures. For example, drugs whose import has been banned is not permitted to be imported. New drugs which have been approved are only permitted to be imported. These are the various control measures we are in place to ensure the safety, efficacy of the both human as well as our thing. We have the provisions to offences and penalties. If any drugs declared as adulterated or spurious, as for the section, the imprisonment is 3 years and fine 5,000. Subsequent penalty, the imprisonment may be increased up to 5 years. So in our drugs and cosmetics, there is a provision even for imprisonment and then fine. Just have a look. So, so come to the final, what is the scope of improvement? So we are facing what is the usual problem with the CHA or sometimes importer. Whenever you are going for any what is the technical, what is the discussion or sampling, at least you try to debut a skilled or technical representative of the importer is required while going for examining the consignment, for drawing the sample for test or for discussion when called for clarification. Sometimes taking too much time for submitting the sample for verification for test when called. Nowadays, a system in place, we used to assign the custom authority to draw the sample and send it in a sealed envelope with the duly signed. But they are taking their own time. And importer representative also, they are taking too much time to submit their application also. And then finally, this is very important, not uploading all mandatory documents by the importer or by CHA. So these are all some of the scope for improvement. So the purpose of our meeting to sensitize the gap, to sensitize the issues pertaining to the import and exports. So this point I want to emphasize for the betterment of the system. So with this thing, I would like to conclude my presentation. So work together and win together. This is the mantra in which always the effects depends upon the high level of the commitment, wide participation, deep interactions, and long-term view of benefits. So we should, industry and the regulator, work together for the betterment of the system, either for the benefits of our human beings and animals. And this slide I want to interpret in such a fashion so that infant is highly precious for everyone. So one side is industry, another one is a regulator. You have to take care. We have to take care whatever each and every actions we are doing always highly impact the safety, efficacy, and the quality of the drugs that heavily impact the life of human being as well as animals. So we should always deliver our duty diligently with a total commitment, always keep in our mind with the vision and mission of your organization as well as regulators. So with this, I take this great opportunity to inform for giving me such a wonderful opportunity. Thank you so much, one and all. My special thanks to my Drug Controller General of India for his permissions. He is a dynamic personality, 24/7. He is delivering his duty diligently with total commitment for the betterment of our nation. Thank you so much, sir.
So thank you so much, Manivalan sir. On behalf of all INFA members, I really appreciate the wonderful presentation that you have made, which was very comprehensive and definitely covered the various aspects of pharmaceutical and biological regulations. Just not about the structure of CDSCO, but also about the details of the roles and responsibilities of the regulatory body, well summarize the procedures, requirements, and something that needs to be done from the industry as well. The key message was about a collaborative effort, work with the regulatory agencies to improvise and look at cohesive working, be it in terms of uploading the correct set of documents, having the requisite permission beforehand, and also all ways and means to ensure smooth clearances and also timely processing of the applications with the due fees. So thank you so much, sir, once again, for your insights on this. And after the wonderful learning experience on the regulatory aspects, it's time to enhance our understanding about the animal quarantine requirement. On behalf of INFA members, I extend a warm welcome to our next eminent speaker for today, which is who is Dr. Jimli Sharma, who is currently working as the quarantine officer heading the Eastern Region Station of the AQCS at Kolkata. She joined AQCS in the year 2010 as the first quarantine officer in the newly opened AQCS station at Bangalore, where she set up the working office at the Kampagowda International Airport while overseeing the construction and commissioning work of the new AQC office at Hisarghatta. Dr. Jimli is an alumni of the Assam Agriculture University Khanapara campus, where she completed her MBSc in veterinary microbiology in 2001. Before her selection to the post of AQ officer, she has worked in the area of diagnostic and research on infectious diseases of poultry and cattle at the Assam Agriculture University. She then worked at the veterinary biological manufacturing facilities in various areas of production and allied activities, including lab animal management. She has delivered many lectures at various forums on topics including lab animal science, aspect of veterinary biological production, quality control, and animal welfare in the past. Most recently, she has spoken on international trade of animal and animal products and other matters in and around the realm of cross-border management of animal biosecurity at international trade levels. Dr. Sharma underwent a basic veterinary epidemiology course conducted by USDA APHIS at Nivedi, Bangalore in 2015. She was the only Indian delegate at the Asia-Europe meeting, ASEM, SPS, and Food Safety Seminar at Brussels in 2015. She has also participated in an international workshop entitled One Hand Tabletop Exercise, jointly conducted by US Center for Disease Control and Prevention and DAHD in Bangalore in 2019. May I now call upon Dr. Jimli Sharma to please share with us the regulatory requirement for import of livestock and livestock products, including feed additives and supplements. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Smita, for such a wonderful introduction. And it's an honor to be present here actually as a speaker in the platform by INFA. And I acknowledge the learned members of INFA. I am thankful to Vijay Teng sir, Pasrija sir, Sundasan sir, then Dr. Bhatia and Madam and all distinguished guests today, and my fellow vets who are present here. Most of you are aware of all the requirements when import or export of livestock or livestock products, but to present something concisely out here in such a nice platform by INFA gives me immense pleasure. So without wasting much of your time, I would like to go forward with my presentation. So I am going to speak. I have been assigned this topic about regulatory requirements for import of livestock and livestock products, including feed additives and supplements. I believe feed additives and supplements, a lot of members or participants from this group will have an interest. So I would like to speak a little on that also. And I represent Department of Animal Husbandry and Dairying, Ministry of Fisheries, Animal Husbandry and Dairying, Government of India. The current pandemic that we all are going through, the entire globe is facing, I believe I do not need to introduce the organization that I'm working for. Prior to this pandemic, I had a tough time to explain people about the designation that I'm holding or the job responsibilities that our organization was undergoing. But the current pandemic has brought, even a small kid now understands what is quarantine and what is biosecurity and all. So I believe the entire participants today are much aware about this organization or about animal quarantine and certification services, because COVID-19, that small virus, has taught us many things of life, and precisely more about our biosecurity or the disease aspect. So I represent the subordinate office of Government of India, Ministry of Fisheries, Animal Husbandry and Dairying, under the Department of Animal Husbandry and Dairying, which is headed by our Joint Secretary Trade, Mr. G.N. Singh. Currently, he is Mr. G.N. Singh, sir. And we have 6 offices actually. There are 6 animal quarantine stations in India, and which are according to their year of establishment. The very first was established in 1969 in New Delhi, and there are 10 port of entries under New Delhi. Actually, this I would like to mention that there are only 6 quarantine officers as of now, and they are being assisted by the quarantine inspectors and the technicians who are sometimes posted at the point of entry. But as you all understand, there is a huge shortage of staff, and government is not recruiting much now as of now. So whatever little staff strength we are having, we are trying to utilize them the best. And the control or the single window clearance is at the head office. Like it is control, all the port of entries that are under New Delhi, Mumbai, Kolkata, Chennai, Bangalore, and Hyderabad, they are being controlled by the quarantine officer, the main office, under all online clearances. And customs help is always taken for the sampling or some, what kind of samplings or that is posted, like my predecessor, earlier speaker has said, that sampling by customs are also accepted by us. So we depend on customs for such kind of port of entries where our physical presence is not there. Then we work on customs sealed sample as per our requirement. So this slides gives you an idea about when the stations were established and the number of point of entries. Then this is a little bit details about the animal quarantine and certification services in India. This I would like to give you the addresses. You can just record it, or probably the slides can be shared later on with info, whatever required. It is there in our website also. We have a very informative website where if you click, you get to know. But since this is a correct place to share such information, I thought it will be better if I share this contact details and addresses and the concerned present on duty officers with you. So better to reach out, whenever you need. Now government is all working about faceless. We don't want you to visit our office, and the pandemic has again made it a little bit more clear that without any work, there's no need to meet anybody physically. Prior to that, also government is supporting about faceless and contactless clearances. So there's no requirement to visit the office or for any small things. It can always be done over phone or by mail, preferably by mail, because that is all on record, and you get even the concerned office also gets enough time to understand your query and reply back. Or before planning any import or export, you can go to the concerned, visit the site or take the details and plan your import or export shipment. And like I always tell the stakeholders that please plan the first import or export consignment with much time. Once you go through the entire process, it becomes very easy. But the first shipment, first consignment is always a little troublesome, because being new, you also don't understand much, and we don't want you to suffer. After import or export, you face some problems for regulatory kind, which is not required or not desired. And as stakeholders, we are there to serve you. We are public officials, so we want that your work should be done properly. But at the same time, you must help us to help you better. Then I just want to give you a little bit about the history. It's about the quarantine. The word, most of you must be aware about quarantine, and it was derived from the Greek word quaranth, which means period of 40 days. In 1374, the first quarantine in Venice, it was taken up. 1890, USA, first international livestock quarantine at port of entry for 90 days. And coming to India, the government of India initiated the animal quarantine and certification services scheme during the fourth five-year plan, 1969 and 70. And I would like to tell you a little bit about our objective, the objectives of AQCS. Mainly, we work actually to stop the ingress of exotic diseases. I mean, the current pandemic that we are going through, it makes us, it gives us a better understanding of the process, why it is necessary. Of course, from the human side also, there were some about yellow fever vaccines or something, little bit of traveling or some quarantine processes were followed by some countries, but not like this pandemic. But animal quarantine, we were following this because as cross-border trade started, and the globe became smaller and we were connected by trade, there was higher chance of bringing in disease along with trade, along with the import and export of livestock or livestock products. So to protect that, to prevent such kind of diseases crossing barriers and boundaries, this system had to be in place about quarantine and certification. This kind of system by the government had to be introduced. So to prevent the ingress of any exotic livestock disease into India through importation of livestock and livestock products, as per the provisions of the Livestock Importation Act, Act 9 of 1898. So we work basically to implement the Livestock Importation Act, and it was amended in the year 2001. So till 2001, livestock products were not included under the Act. So it was freely importable. But as I spoke, that, as soon as we started exploring trade of livestock and livestock product, we had to incorporate the livestock products also into the Livestock Importation Act. Then our second objective is implementation of the provisions of the Act and central government orders and notifications in force on importation and exportation of livestock and livestock products. Then to provide an internationally accepted certification service for augmenting exports and to increase national exchequer. Like, trade, we also do a little bit of import is definitely, it's notified and it is under the Livestock Importation Act. But for exports, it is not much clear, and exports has a little gray area because there are certain other agencies like EPIDA, EIC, MPIDA who are into export health certification. But here I would like to mention that, export, those of you who are associated with export of livestock products, you will understand that export certification is actually basically requires, that certification is two parts. The units which are manufacturing livestock products, they are registered, like your MPIDA are registering certain units which are, or EPIDA is registering, that the whole unit, the facility which is manufacturing is registered. They are audited and they get the registration. And it is again reviewed and renewed. But irrespective of the registration, every consignment has to accompany a health certificate. And this is not, export is not the requirement of India. When we're exporting something, it is actually the requirement of the importing country. Suppose you want to export something to US today, US will give you the health guidelines. So government of India has to comply to the requirements given by US, because there's no harm in exporting. We will issue something and you take away your goods and you clear export out here from customs and your goods reach US port. The port health authorities in US will not allow import of the goods till their regulatory authorities clears the goods. So for exporting, you have to remember that you have to fulfill the requirements of the particular country to which you are exporting. And I would like to mention here itself that trade of livestock products, livestock or livestock products are governed by OIE, that is Office International Epizooty. So being by default, all the countries are members of this body OIE, and international guidelines are followed as per OIE. And AQCS also provides an internationally accepted certification service for augmenting export and to increase the national exchequer. It is a kind of trust or the kind of belief that the importing country has to have on the products being exported by India. Then again, the economic importance of animal quarantine. The current pandemic of COVID-19, the small virus, had come a long way to teach us how it is to control a pandemic. Saving of money, labor, and time required in disease eradication programs by prevention, the entry of exotic diseases is much easier than when the disease comes in and you are trying to control it. So I believe we all understand now how AQCS works. It is in a similar line as the pandemic we are going through. So it is always easier to have the regulations in place, to have the check in the border, cross-border trade, so that you do not bring in any disease unwanted, which is, of course, the disease doesn't come just like that. But if you don't have your regulation in place, there's every possibility that the disease might come into the country, might travel in the entire country, and a huge money, manpower, time, or loss of life, and a lot of avenues or employment opportunities of the general people are affected. So it has a very huge significance. The economic importance of animal quarantine is very huge, and it covers many dimensions. Then export, I have already mentioned to you about increasing the demand of the livestock or the livestock product in the international market by building buyers' confidence. As AQC is the officially recognized government body according to OIE, which I have already mentioned to you. Then facilitating trade and guaranteeing timely regulatory support to the industry. This is again for export health certification. It is like we are fulfilling the requirements of the importing country. And as an exporter, it is your duty to comply, because you will have a name out there. And once you create your own name, your product speaks for you, and you are complying to all the regulations, you have a fair chance of conquering more than what you were just doing today. Probably today you are exporting to one country, and your tomorrow, by following all this rule properly, you will be exporting to more than one country. Then a little bit about the present AQC status. Presently, what happens is we work online. My predecessor speaker, Manavalan sir, has already explained that we work under the customs IceGate site. So whenever there's any import of animal or animal products, then it is actually reflected online by customs. The moment an importer imports a consignment and files the bill of entry, it will be automatically reflected on the IceGate website. Since we are online now, AQCS has around 699 tariff lines, which is mapped with customs. So the moment you import anything coming under the purview of AQCS, under the 699 tariff line, it will be reflected in the online system of AQCS, the concerned AQCS. Wherever we are like online mapped with the concerned port, concerned customs, so that it will be reflected. Out of the 699, 272 tariff lines require no testing. Recently, Government of India had made this more announcement and increased some more of the tariff lines where no testing category has been introduced, where prior to this order, we used to take some sample, customs sample, or we used to send our own people to examine the shipment or inspect the shipment and collect sample. As required, we used to send for testing. But now many tariff lines has been removed to facilitate trade, of course, which are having low risk, that those items were exempted from testing. Hence, under this 272 tariff lines, if you are importing, we do not require any sample, and we will only require the documents. Documents should be complied with, which will be checked by us, and it will be released. And we work on a single day decision policy, actually, SDDP we say, wherein it is 8 working hours. I mean, of course, it is not like you're submitting or your bill of entry is filed today at 3 o'clock. So by tomorrow, 3 o'clock, it's 8 working hours, it's complete. Actually, around 24 hours, we give a decision. I mean, it is either clearance, or if you have to submit some more documents or whatever is missing, we inform you. But like Manavalan sir, my earlier speaker, has said, the system of customs has some flaws, and probably we believe all the agencies working together will slightly improve. And also the stakeholders, mostly the CHA or the importers, they are sometimes unable to upload all the documents that we want. And as regulators, we are not able to give any decision because of incomplete documentation. And this website of customs, the IceGate, it does not have a provision. There's a column of remarks. But if we give the remark, it is not being visible. It is not visible by the party, by the stakeholder. I mean, the importer cannot see it. So such things sometimes hamper in clearance, and the little bit of unawareness of the CHA, or the CHA not able to upload documents or incomplete documents, or the document is not scanned properly. Until and unless as a regulator we go through or we process the documents, we are not able to give a decision. And then, the time starts. And sometimes there is a gap between the CHA. Most of the time, what happens is for import or export, the importer authorizes a customs house agent, who's the person who will be dealing with the regulatory body like AQCS. So that person, though we suggest, there's no requirement to come due to some glitches on the site, or sometimes for sample submission and all, they will visit our office and to submit document or sample. And and we give it in writing, especially from AQCS. If anything is observed, we are not supposed to say it verbally. we are supposed to give a writing either on the document submitted manually or on by mail, whatever. And you, as an importer, you have to make it clear that you were in touch with your CHA. And even the CHA, the owner probably, or the people in the higher ups, they are educated and they know, but those who are sent to submit documents or sample, they are probably not all that educated and not much aware. So whenever we communicate to them, they probably do not communicate, or sometimes I have observed, they will not pass on the communication that is given to them. Rather, they come out in the morning in the pretext of submitting documents and sample, and they loiter around, or sometimes they say that it took a whole day, whereas it hardly takes 10 or 15 minutes to submit the documents in our office and go off. In my 10 years of service, I have seen such kind of things where those persons employed by the CHA, the main person who's sitting in the office probably thinks that it is AQCS who's not taking, or who's taking so much of time, because the common point is the CHS person who's visiting the office. So we maintain a register, we try to maintain our cameras and everything, but still things don't work, because the person who visits our office will try to tell a lie many a times, or miscommunicate, or it's like better in such cases that you visit the office of the concerned quarantine officer with the CHA, or there's no requirement to visit also. Maybe try to just communicate directly with the, or take daily reporting or about update on the consignment from your CHA. So there are instances which I recall in my career which was created because of some problems by the CHA. There are of course very good CHA, and the people who are working, who are aware, who are trained, and who are educated enough, but some are there, and 10 out of 8 out of 10 people are good, and but those 2-3 are a little dangerous, who will come and just try to play with rules, and and the entire 8 who are doing properly work suffers, because as a regulatory body we try to again have some more rules in place so that we do not face a problem again later on. So those things I would like to say a little bit. Whenever you are authorizing someone, you keep an update, and better avoid contacting directly at times. Inform your CHA to keep you in the loop, or to mark you CC in the communication or in the mail. Because if you also start communicating from 4-5 mail IDs, it becomes difficult for a regulator to again reply back. Or we are also working under harsh conditions with very limited manpower. So many a times our personal time is also involved, because we keep public service ahead of everything. See, if your consignment is stuck, it is our headache. No, it should be cleared, because finally, you are losing, you're paying money, demurrage, or you are losing time. So many government officials work on the similar lines to help you out. But at the same time, I again repeat that it is your duty to ensure that you submit the documents, or you comply to the protocol which is to be followed, and keep in touch with your CHA. Whatever has been communicated, you have authorized him or her. Ask the direct thing, that what has been communicated. You visited the office, or you submitted the documents, what has come. So that will save the time, and that will give a clear picture of what is going on. Otherwise, bluntly, blaming that no, AQCS delays, AQCS doesn't concern. There might be instances where AQCS or any other government office might not have worked, or there might be some issues, but most of the times it might be that your CHA is just giving you wrong information. So sampling by customs, we because our staff strength is very less, we usually depend on customs for sampling, and our CITH that is mapped with us, 272 are non-testing category, and the rest 427 makes up for the compulsory testing as well as the random testing category. Then AQCS can sample, can test, can examine any consignment anytime in case of doubt, irrespective of the category. This is again a main point. Sometimes if there is a doubt, we would like to examine some consignments, then there should not be any resistance, because if everything is clear, and if it is a process, routine process, the support is to be provided by the stakeholder, so that once we check it, our doubts are cleared and we release it. There has been instances where people, of course, like I already told you, 9 people are genuine, or 8 people are genuine, but for those 1 or 2, entire 8 who are genuine people suffers. There are instances where people try to import or export in the name of something else. They are trying to do something else, but the regulatory body is again, responsible. That is a very, you are certifying, and somebody catches you, then you are in a soup. So we try to take everything as we want to take, as per your declarations or as per requirement. Try to rule away anything missing or anything, any foul play. Even then, if somebody is doing it purposely, then it, as a regulator, it becomes very difficult for us to detect at times. Then above numbers of subject to change. Now, like this 690 to 699 CTHs might be increased or decreased depending on the risk, because AQCS works on the risk analysis part actually. So I would come to that a little later, because all the items do not have the same risk, and risk also may vary from country to country and product to product. So, and also some diseases are prevented this time. Today, a country may be free of bird flu, whereas tomorrow there might be bird flu which is detected. So risk is not static. So based on the risk, the 699 may increase, may decrease, or compulsory testing may increase or may decrease. So it is not fixed. And there are, being technical people or being in this trade, you'll probably understand that risk is there. And if anything is doubtful or any risk is analyzed and it is found out to be risky, steps will be taken by AQCS. Then here I would just like to share with you our AQCS website. This is the main board. This is the home page of our website. So you can see everything, like on the top, on the blue boxes, you have about us, admin, application, and everything. So with now the pandemic has also more usage of net and all virtual platforms. So it's just, everything is just a click away. So, and you can find out from this about all the requirements, about the objectives and functions, or whatever you want. Then import, export of livestock and livestock products. The entire procedure is given out here, or what are the documents to be submitted, what all you need, everything is available in this website. Even the contact details of our AQCS stations are available. So anything you want, just get in touch. And please do not believe everything that the people says. And now it's the time of black and white. I mean, just write a mail sitting in the comfort of your home or from your office and follow up. But of course, make sure that you don't follow up in 10 minutes. Give a day, at least one day for us to reply to you. So that whatever is your query or any help you want, any assistance you want, we deal with it. I mean, we give it to you what you want, and do your homework as required before your import or export, so that you minimize any error. We don't want you to suffer anyways, be it in terms of money, be it time, be it manpower. Just do your part properly, and as stakeholders, as regulatory body, we are there and we are reachable. Just don't go by words that they don't reply, there's no need to contact the officer and all those. Shoot a mail, ask for reply. Now government is very particular that we must support ease of doing business and we must give a reply. And typically we are public servants, so we are having that thing that we should help you. I mean, we want to help you. So again, I would like to say here that you must help us help you better. This is again our DAHD, our website, www.dahd.nic.in. Then you can visit there for all other information that you require from our department. Then AQCS website is below I have mentioned there, aqcsindia.gov.in. So you can check out there whatever you want. And in case you are not getting the complete query, please make sure that you drop in a mail and ask, and wait for a day. If you don't get any response from us in a 24 hours time, send us a reminder mail. But make sure that you don't contact from 4 or 5 mail IDs for one particular query or one particular consignment. You keep it one single point contact so that it is easier for us also, for you also to follow up. Then the next slide, I would like to tell you a little bit about what is a livestock. So by definition in the gadget, or by the rules and all notifications that we are following, a livestock includes all species of equine, bovine, canine, ovine, porcine, caprine, rodents, laboratory animals, poultry, and other wild domestic animals and birds. Then this also includes aquatic animals and any other animal which may be specified by the central government by notification in the official gadget. Then I would like to sensitize you with the products, livestock products. all animal origin including marine aquatic animals that comes under the definition of livestock products. Then AQCS actually works on the risk analysis part of it. Like I already mentioned, that the risk is not static, risk keeps on changing, and the same product may have a different risk if it is coming from different geographic locations, depending on the disease condition prevailing in that particular country or that particular geographic location. So you cannot generalize risk. Risk is subject to change anytime. So that's why our assessment or the permits that are issued to you are issued basically considering the risk factor. There's a risk analysis team in our head office in Delhi under the Trade Department. The risk analysis committee meets up, and whenever you give an application for any kind of import, they will consider whether it can be allowed or not, and if it is to be allowed, what are the conditions to be allowed. But we at AQCS, we are like the check post, we are like the implementing authority. So, but we are not empowered to decide what will come in your SIP or what will not come. We are just there to check whether whatever conditions has been given to you in the SIP or whatever is required to issue the no objection certificate, that is being produced by the importer. We are like just like the traffic cop, you know, the policeman who just asks you for your driving license. That traffic police person cannot issue you the driving license. He can only check. The RTO will issue. Similarly for us, the RTO is the DADF, the Trade Department, and we AQCS are just empowered to check. And if anything is not proper, we can reject, or we can pass an order to reject or deport or destroy. So in products, the meat and meat products of all kinds, tissue or organs of poultry, pig, sheep, goat, these are high risk category. As you all understand, these are direct animal origin products, egg and egg powder, milk and milk powder, milk products, embryos, ova or semen, pet food products of animal origin, products of aquatic animals, feather, wool, hide, bristles, etc. Then animal feed and feed supplements or additives. This I have highlighted because probably I think you would like to hear a little bit about this. Many of you are concerned about feed additives and supplements. Any other animal product which may be considered by the central government by notification in the official gazette. So these are actually very high risk products. And you understand that chance of importing a bacteria or a virus or any kind of disease is more in this direct ingredients or livestock products. Whereas if the product is processed, the risk becomes a little lesser. So a pet food product is not as risky as a meat. So that will be based on according to the risk analysis or the risk quotient of the particular product. It will come under the SIP. It will be governed by the import of the SIP, where the government pre-stipulates, government analyzes and gives you what are the conditions that has to be complied by the exporting country. So you have to fulfill the requirements of government of India as has been given to you in writing in the form of the SIP. That has to be certified by the official authority of the exporting country in the form of a health certificate. So when you produce that along with a copy of the SIP and other documents, I'll come to it a little later, then your products will be released or cleared. So these are basically high risk products which are governed by an SIP, and these are notified in the Gazette. So you cannot import without a permit, not even for personal consumption. These are actually restricted. Let me tell you here that you have to, while importing, in other countries you will see in Australia or wherever you go, they even scan and throw away your pickles or anything. They are very strict. But in India, we are progressing now with more manpower and more sophistication in the arrival ports. Probably one day we will also function like the more advanced countries where, you know, there'll be sniffer dogs or there'll be x-rays or high gadgets, high quality gadgets and all, where we can find out what you are carrying. Many a times there's a declaration form given to you upon immigration or on arrival where you just declare that you don't have anything of animal origin and you are cleared. But if you import anything of animal origin, you are supposed to declare in the form which is given to you by customs on arrival or on in immigration time, because not even 1 gram of your meat or anything for personal consumption you are supposed to carry into India. It is actually banned. I mean, it is allowed only against a sanitary import permit. So for tasting purpose, if you bring and if you are sometimes caught, you are liable to some kind of a penalty or prosecution under that breaking laws that why you have imported it. There are applications where you can apply for personal consumption also. It's not for trading, but you want to import a small quantity for personal consumption, you can apply and you can import. But you have gone to Australia or Canada or New Zealand and you are bringing in some kind of a pork pickle or something, just avoid that. If you're not aware, if you're not caught, so far, so good. But if you are caught, you will be definitely paying up for the crime committed. Then this slide is of interest of many participants, I believe. This is about feed supplements or preparation of a kind used in animal feeding. Now, chapter 23, there are around 12 CTH codes that are mapped with AQCS. So if you import anything of which falls under these CTH codes, then depending on the risk, if you are importing, suppose, compounded animal feed or concentrates of compound animal feed, or your animal feed is having any animal origin ingredients, suppose some fish meal or meat meal or anything, that has a high risk of bringing in disease. So a high risk category will definitely be governed by an SIP. So this kind of products which falls under an SIP, you have to apply for a sanitary import permit, and then only after getting the permit, you have to send it to the exporter. And you have to ensure that the exporter complies, the authority of the exporting country complies to the health conditions stipulated in your permit, and comply to that, and then only you can import the items that you have got your permit for. So these are the 12 tariff lines as of now, which is mapped with customs and which comes under the purview of AQCS. Some which are having a less risk, they do not require a permit. If it is not governed by, like in the other categories, which you are having 2309, the second last or the last one, which are coming under others, many may not come under the sanitary import permit because probably it does not have anything of animal origin ingredient. So if you have a permit, if your item is high risky and requires a permit, you will apply for a permit and you will produce the permit and the health certificate. But if it is not governed by a permit, it will be governed by a no objection certificate from the concerned port of entry. That means from the concerned AQCS. At that time, you will have to submit a health certificate which is issued by the competent authority of the exporting country that will specify that it does not contain anything of animal origin ingredients, including aquatic origin. So based on that document, or if required, based on testing, it will be released. But many a times I have come across a lot of import of feed additives also. I have seen in Kolkata also. People do not comply to that particular cause, that thing, it is not mentioned in the health certificate that it does not contain anything of animal origin ingredients. But it becomes very difficult as a regulator to assess. And then it will take time, or we will send it for testing. We may not be able to release you till the testing report comes. So you will face some kind of difficulty upon arrival or upon your consignment bill of entry being filed in of the import of your consignment. So at that time you will face problems. So if you plan to import anything which comes under this tariff lines and under chapter 23, make sure that if it is not governed by a permit, or if it is governed by a permit. So if it is governed by SIP, apply for the SIP, get the SIP and send it to your country which is exporting that particular item to India. Ask them to comply to all the requirements. Their official authority will comply. However, if it is not against a permit, if the risk is low, you will still require an NOC from AQCS. It need advance SIP or it will need AQCS clearance. So if it requires AQCS clearance, make sure that the product has been imported with the health certificate issued by the competent authority of the exporting country, which clearly mentioned that though it is of animal food or for animal food or feed additive or supplement and coming under chapter 23, it does not contain any animal origin ingredients, including aquatic animal origin. So if that line is there, and we will check the documents and we take a sample, or if required, we send it for testing, clearance is smooth. If you don't have that kind of a document, you have already imported your goods, we will not be able to release it. You will be regularly coming and inquiring. Then you write to your country which has exported the product to India. That particular country at that time will say, now our authority cannot issue the health certificate because the product has already reached Indian shores. So that will lead to a lot of delay and hassles and clearance. So like I have already mentioned earlier, please plan your shipments, be it import or export, for the first time well ahead of time. And if required, visit the website 10 times, contact the concerned AQCS by mail and all, ensure that you will be cleared. I mean, you meet all the statutory requirements and all the regulatory requirements for clearance of that product. Also, I would like to mention out here that I'm talking only for the clearance from animal quarantine point of view. Like my earlier speaker, my predecessor has already spoken about his point of view. There might be certain products, be it import or export, which might require clearances from more than one agency. So when I am talking about AQCS, does not mean that you meet all the requirements of that particular product. You will meet all the requirements for importing that particular product under this particular tariff line from AQCS point of view. But there may be 2 or 3 government agencies which are concerned about clearance or export of that product, and you may need clearance from 2 or 3 agencies. That will happen when you file the bill of entry. If it is import and you are filing the bill of entry, it will actually go to different agencies if it is mapped with them. So at that time, what will happen is it will show AQCS pending or drug controller DC pending or plant quarantine pending, like that. So you thought it will come only under the purview of AQCS Kolkata or quarantine, animal quarantine, but it has gone to drug control authority or it has gone to animal plant quarantine authority also. So find out before itself. Plan your shipments like that, that you know what will be required and you meet all the requirements of all the agencies involved in import or export of that particular product. Then import of livestock products, that is notification 2014. This is the latest notification that was out in 16/10/2014, SO 2666E, which governs the import of livestock products. And here it mentions this requirement of advance permit or license after risk analysis. If you require a permit after the risk analysis, like I have already mentioned, it's a high risk category product, you will definitely require a permit. And if the risk is low, if it is processed, risk becomes low, then you will probably not require a permit, but you will only require a AQ. Now there are designated port of entry. There are 38 ports, which are under the 6 ports, which I already mentioned: New Delhi, Chennai, Kolkata, Hyderabad, Mumbai, and Bangalore. So these are the 6 main ports. The AQCS offices, main offices are located in these ports, and the other point of entries under the jurisdiction of these 6 ports will be controlled by the head office. The head AQCS office located in the 6 ports. Then AQCS clearance is mandatory for all product, irrespective of requirement of permit or license. So AQCS is very much important, mandatory. If you don't require a permit, people sometimes misguide you. The CHA will say, no, it doesn't require a permit, so let us import and it will be cleared. So you know that permit is not required, but you were not aware that you will still require a health certificate because you will require the AQNOC. So make sure that you are aware of all the things and don't go by words. I would like to give you this bit of advice from my career, what I have had in this government organization, that don't go by words. There are a lot of people who will tell you a lot of things. Please sit down in front of the computer and just a click away, find out. Let them say, probably they're saying the correct thing, but why don't you confirm? That will save a lot of difficulties later on. I have come across people who were saying that so-and-so told me, so I imported. So-and-so told you, so you imported, but at the time of clearance, that will not help you clear the product. So please don't go by words, visit the website, read, every information is available now, or write down a mail seeking your clarification. Then this is a little bit about the documents required come checklist for import of livestock products. It's a valid copy of the sanitary import permit that you will need without the SIP. If it is governed by the SIP, some products are not governed by SIP, but if it is an SIP covered product, you will definitely need it. Then the bill of entry with customs reference. Online, it will definitely come to us, but if you are not applying online or if it is not being reflected, make sure that you submit the bill of entry. Then third point is the most important point for us, the most important document from AQCS point of view. That is the official health certificate from the country of origin, fulfilling all import health guidelines of India as per the notification, supplied protocol with license or SIP or AQCS requirement, as the case may be. The description of livestock product shall be mentioned in health certificate certified officially. So this I have already been talking about it. Make sure that your health certificate is as per the permit if the product is governed by a SIP, or if it is not governed by the SIP, make sure that it has all the details. A health certificate is actually related to a particular consignment. So every detail must be there, the consignee, the consignor, number of packages, the invoice, everything. It cannot be blank, left blank, because how will we know? We have to connect each or trace the health certificate to the consignment. So make sure that it is all having the complete information. Secondly, make sure that it is issued by the competent authority, because many a times we have come across forged documents where the importer or the CHA might not be aware, because you are dependent on your counterparts, your exporters out there, the people who have exported to you. They might not have approached a particular authority. They might have just copied it or just faked it. So, but at a time of clearance, you will not be granted clearance if that is detected by AQSIS that you have submitted a forged document. So make sure that it is genuinely issued. Make sure that the health certificate has all the details. Though every country does not have, formatting is different or requirements is different, but still the person who has issued it, the department, the government body they belong to, everybody now has an email. So whatever it is, a least developed country also will have an email or an official address or a phone number. So those should be there. Then the seal and the stamp of the issuing authority. And most importantly, it should be bilingual, or even if it is multilingual, one language has to be in English. I have come across certificates which are completely written in Bulgarian. What I can read is only 10/6/2018, only the date of signing. Now, if I don't understand what it is all about, how can you expect that we clear your consignment? And I have seen people, the CHA representative coming and saying, Madam, hum undertaking de dega, aap chhod do. How can you leave that consignment where somebody has submitted you a official health document which is not in English? Probably it is issued by the genuine authority, but we cannot release it if we cannot read it. And we cannot have a translation out here. Because then, the very purpose is defeated. Very purpose of AQSIS is defeated if you submit a health document which we cannot read it. So ensure that let it have 10 languages, but one language must be in English. And it is actually as per OIE guidelines also that it has one language has to be in English for international trade, because all the countries will be.
Dr. Jimli, we have to little bit go fast and crisp and smart.
Sure, sir. So this I have already mentioned to you. Then country of origin certificate we need, laboratory reports we need if applicable, the name and address of the consignor and the consignee along with other details in the certificate must match with the license SIP. Custom cell sample, we have already discussed about it. If required, it has to be submitted. Examination sampling as the case may be. Undertaking and declaration as per requirement. And copy of airway bill, cargo details, invoice, packing list of the consignment. Original health document, this is very important, are mandatory on arrival for provisional clearance, final clearance, testing, examination as the case may be. Authorization letter of if owner is not approaching directly, all attached documents with the application must be self-attested. Consignments may be put on hold, provisionally cleared in case of testing. Final clearance will be granted only after test results. Any other documents if required during examination of application. This Manavaran sir also has spoken to you. Sometimes we release based on a bond where you give a no-use bond to allow you avoid the demurrage, but make sure that you don't use the consignment till we clear you finally, till we get the laboratory test reports. Then this is a little bit about our SIP website. It is there, sip.nic.in. So you can just go through the website for your ease of understanding. I just brought this slide out here. So you can visit the website. There is a little shortage of time, so I'd like to wind up. I mean, like to go a little fast. Then again, please make sure that sanitary. These are the things where you follow while you apply online for the SIP. Like detailed literature of the products, mention ingredient of each product, process chart of the product, detailed list of the products to be imported. It's given, an actual one is given along here. This is all you'll find in the website. Detailed chemical and microbiological data sheet of the product, detailed end use of the product to be imported. If anything is missing, your certificate, your application will not be processed, and it will not be intimated also to you. Then again, a little bit about export. I have already mentioned to you, but export certification must be as per the international certification system, as per OIE Terrestrial Animal Health Code, Chapter 5.2.1 to 5.2.4. Then as per the procedure, the official veterinarian AQCS of the authority of the exporting country should sign the export health certificates. The health requirement guidelines of importing country, this is very important. Please don't think that AQCS is not issuing their health certificate. They are not. AQCS cannot issue till you comply to the requirements of the importing country. And if there is no requirement, you just require a general health certificate. You have to give us whatever we require to issue a general health certificate. Otherwise, most of the time, it is a requirement of the importing country. Government of India is only complying to that, ensuring that there is inspection, there is testing, or there is whatever required is being followed. Then you have to give a request that you want to export certificate, export rules of GOI or whatever. Like I mentioned, there may be different agencies or different clearances you may have to take from different government agencies. Pre-export quarantine and testing, inspection and certification. Then the one last but very important point is export certificates are issued on or before the bill of lading. So please do not approach after your shipment is gone, because these are all supposed to be done before the shipment leaves the shore of the particular country. After the shipment is gone and it has reached the shores of the importing country, it is very difficult or it is rather impossible to issue a health certificate. Then similar kind, these are the documents that you want, that you will require at the time of export application. It is almost same, but there will be some few documents. Third one is very important, second and third, the official health requirement format of the importing country. If no prescribed format is there, then undertaking from the exporter or the owner in this regard, that there's no particular requirement, you just require a simple or a general health certificate. And fulfill health requirement of importing country, including the testing, treatment, if applicable or if asked. Registration of the certificate, approval of the exporting units. This, like I already mentioned, this may be asked. Usually the European Union, they want this, the registration number, and this registration number of your unit is given by either of the government, any of the government agencies like MPIDA, EIC, or EPIDA, like that. Undertaking declarations, as all, these are all some general kind of things. Authorization, if your CH is approaching, all this, it's there in our website. You can go through. Little bit of a glimpse, I just wanted to, you might be a little bored by seeing all the words all around. So just to lighten up, whatever I encountered during my career, that there was a live python imported from Sri Lanka to Mysore Zoo. So it was an anaconda, it was an anaconda that was imported. Then below, those are the boxes of laboratory animals, and those are your ornamental fish units, which they imported, and quarantine unit was inspected, that I just read. This is a little bit about inspection of the pet food that was imported in the ICD. This is imported bovine semen, which is being sampled for testing upon arrival. These are day-old chicks. Let me mention you one important thing, that all live animals are governed by a license from DGFT. You will invariably require a license from Director General Foreign Trade, except GP chicks. GP chicks are exempted. So you don't require a license from DGFT to import GP chicks. You just require a sanitary import permit from our department, that is DAHD. And pet dog and pet cat under baggage rules are exempted. You don't require a license. If you are under baggage rules, and if you are under that, if it is a pet, only pet dog and pet cat. But any other animal, dogs for your research purpose or for commercial purpose, that is governed by a DGFT license. Then here are the laboratory animals in boxes that are being imported by various companies for their research work. This was an attempt to illegally export sea cucumber being detected and confiscated. It was caught while they were trying to export it out, because it's a delicacy. Probably sea cucumber is a delicacy in some countries. So Father and the son were exporting this out illegally. They were caught and probably they had to pay up for their offense. This is an example of a false certificate that we caught. Looks very similar like a official genuine certificate, but it was forged. We do send it for checking to embassies or to the concerned government officials, if in case of doubt, then it is detected. Then coming finally to the points in summary, please visit the website dhd.nic.in and aqcsindia.gov.in for all details before looking for a quick fix. Visit sip.nic.in. I have already mentioned about SIP. For import of live animal, DGF license is required except pet dog and pet cat, baggage rule and GP chicks. This I already told you just now. Before importation, contact the concerned AQCS, preferably by email, for assistance or query. This is very important. Please do your homework properly before any import or export. Ensure that the health certificate of the livestock or the livestock product is issued by the competent authority of the exporting country, and one language has to be in English. Again, this has been informed already to you. Ensure that the authorized representative or the CHA adheres to the protocol. Very, very important. Please get hold of your CHA and communicate to him. Ensure that he doesn't hide any facts from you or doesn't misrepresent things to you. Allow sufficient time for executing the single day decision policy. Submit the documents, either it is online or your single window, or you are submitting it by mail or offline. Please don't expect that you have submitted it at 2 o'clock and 2:30 you will get the clearance. With less stuff, we are doing all our jobs, so we will definitely do it on priority. But then again, 8 working hours, a single day is required. Thank you so much for all your attention. Together, we will protect our animal resources and public health by strict implementation of animal quarantine regulations. Now, most of you are aware about the One Health concept, because we are all together, and health of the animals or us human beings or the environment affect each other. So we have to maintain this One Health concept, and animal quarantine implementation is very, very important, keeping in view of the same. I appreciate all your patience throughout, and thank you very much for your attention. Thank you, sir. Thank you, INFA, for giving me such a lovely platform to just put forward whatever rules and regulations or things required. It has been it has been wonderful on my part also to address this August participants and August gathering. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Jimli. It was wonderful.
Thank you to both the reviewers, both the people who help us in bringing in of products and taking them out. I hope both Dr. Manavalan and Dr. Ma'am is both there with us. Manavalan sir?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Since you started the presentation first, so I'll make the first question to you only. Sir, what are the mandatory requirements to be uploaded on IceGate for drugs or biologicals? Is there a difference, or if same, then what?
Yes. For drugs, import license in Form 10, registration certificate, certificate of analysis, COO, certificate of country from origin. These are the mandatory documents. Batch release certificate.
Right, sir.
In case of biologicals, in addition to this, normally the importer may have that marketing authorization certificate, marketing authorization permission also they have to upload. In case of biologicals, new drugs.
Okay, sir. Okay. Right, sir. I'll come back to you. Next question is to ma'am. Ma'am, how long does it take to issue an SIP? And do we need to obtain SIP for each consignment? It's a question from Dr. Manoj, one of the working with regulatory sector with one of the companies.
Yes, sir. I would like to address that for an SIP, it usually takes 7 days. So though AQCS is not issuing the SIP, it is issued by the trade department from our division based at New Delhi, Krishi Bhavan, New Delhi. So 7 days is the time and for issuing an SIP, and you don't require an SIP for each consignment, but SIP you can take planning your consignment size. Suppose you apply for 1,000 kg SIP and that is valid for a particular period. So you can import the consignment 1,000 kg at one time, or 10 kgs into 10 consignment or more. I mean, multiple consignments you can use, you can bring in till you retain the quantity or till your permit does not expire. So
Right.
some products have a permit validity for 3 months. For some it is 6 months. Some may be granted 1 year. The committee, the technical committee or the trade division which issues the SIP, they takes into account and they issue the permit accordingly. As long as your SIP is valid and the quantity is approved, you can use the SIP.
Right. I think it again goes to your risk assessment, whether permission is given for 3 months, 6 months, or 1 year.
Yes,
That is
sir,
what
yes.
I understand from your center. And probably the first application is given 3 months and then later on it is extended on. So, ma'am, the next question is again to you. Broadly, the industry is today facing a lot of concerns regarding exports to Nepal and Bangladesh. So, is there an option wherein something has been worked on, especially for the road? Because now quarantine health certificate has become essential in Nepal.
So we are, AQSys Kolkata, we are issuing almost every day for exports to Nepal. Mostly it is fishery items, some animal feed also. But we are issuing, sir. There has been no problems. People approach us as per our requirements. So we
mostly
comply.
Such issues come once they enter the Nepal border. So.
Okay, no, they are actually supposed to take Nepal. Usually, as per my knowledge, they issue the import permit like we issue. So their quarantine ports, they issue the import permit with the requirements. So the exporter has to obtain it or the importer has to obtain it, and you have to submit as the requirement of government of Nepal. If there are no requirements, then you can take a general health certificate. We are issuing, but it has to be done prior. I mean, before the shipment. There are cases where it is stuck in Nepal border and then they are coming, which is actually difficult for our part also. So they have to plan it well ahead.
Right. Dr. Manavalan sir, next question is to you. Is there a list of disinfectants or chemicals which are allowed without a permission, without a NOC, without a license?
No, it's
disinfectants and chemicals.
Yeah, it all comes under the regulations. It's required a license. It's required import license. Suppose in case it is meant for this thing, Form 10. Suppose if you want to disinfect or clean this one medical device equipment, MD, it's all that items regulated under drugs and cosmetics, required import license issued from DCJ.
Right, sir. And how about for medical devices? The same way, or is it anyway different?
Same.
Okay. There is yet another question from an R&D guy. He wants to understand whether if we want to import 2 or 3 samples of a injection or whatever it is it possible without a permission of the center? Is it under the ADC control or no?
It's possible. It all depends upon what is the intent of the import. What is the purpose of import? Suppose if you want to import some small quantity for testing purpose, it is allowed after submitting the test license. Suppose if you want to import some small quantity of drugs for personal use, there is a provision for getting Form 12B. Form 12B. That is also an online. So based on that, we can release small quantity.
But all of this has to be done from the center. All of this has to be done from the center.
Yes.
Okay. I'll take the next question to Madam again. Ma'am, suppose the exporting country doesn't have any norms. Can we bring in products from an FAMIQ approved plant into India without any requirements? These are approved plants.
No, it might be approved, but as per the rules of this country, it is governed by either SIP. I mean, even if there's an approval or whatever, you have to take an SIP if it is required, governed by SIP
or outside, ma'am. We are talking about inside. Import
from. Yeah. From, I didn't get the question, sir. I mean.
We are talking about import into India. So again, he has to take an SIP here also.
Yes. If it is governed by an SIP, he definitely has to take. If it is not governed by the SIP, then the health certificate has to come. Though his unit may be approved or whatever,
Ma'am, yet another question from maybe someone from the eastern sector only. How much time does it take to issue an export health certificate?
So export health certificate, actually, it doesn't take time for us if it is complied, but it will take time definitely for the testing part. If there's a testing requirement is there, again, export, it is a requirement of the importing country. Suppose it is Nepal. Nepal wants you are exporting something to Nepal, and Nepal government has given a permit wherein they want some microbiological test or something they have mentioned. So as being the exporting country, government of India has to comply. So laboratory AQCS is not, we do not have our own laboratory. We are dependent on the laboratories where we will send some government approved laboratories or some NABL accredited laboratory. So it will depend on the testing time, how they take, or if there is some kind of a local information we need from the local veterinary authority, from the local state government authority, if they have given us a document or not. So it will depend, but if everything is complete document is submitted to us and it is processed, then it may hardly takes 2 working days, 2 or 3 working days maximum, if everything is like complete. But in most of the time, it takes time for meeting the requirements.
Right.
Like we do not have any control on the laboratory testing or the health certificate issued by the local authority like that.
Ma'am, could you elaborate on single day decision policy, which was mentioned in your last slide?
Yes, sir. Single day decision policy is the time taken from the time of submission of the documents, actually. Now the bill of entry is filed and it will be, if everything is submitted, everything is proper, we are to give the decision on the same day, means 8 working hours. So AQCS, all the ports invariably follows this. So we give the decision. Sometimes it is not even 8 hours. Most of the time, AQCS Kolkata is dealing with perishables, especially fish. So we give it in 2-3 working hours only, because perishables, we do not want it to keep waiting. But it will, maximum it is a day. Decision means that it is either clearance or sometimes it might be rejection also. But we are to give the decision what is being taken on a same day, single working day. But if you are submitting, somebody is submitting it by 3 o'clock, then it is difficult. If somebody is submitting at 3 o'clock, then it will be, by next day only we'll be able to give like that. 8 working hours, I mean, from the time of submission, complete submission of documents or sample as applicable.
Yeah. Anything of similar sort at Dr. Madhavalan's end for drugs, 8 hours approvals possible, sir?
Yes, sir. Actually, we are clearing, actually, unless otherwise, some of the drugs require some testing and other things. So right, otherwise, sir, we are releasing within 4 to 5 hours only, maximum 4 hours nowadays. Yeah. If you uploaded all documents, based on the trend report of the importers, sometimes based on the risk-based approach also, we are taking the decision. Suppose regular importer importing the bulk drugs without any not of standard quality, what's the report for the last 2 years or 5 years, based right, on the things also we are taking a decision. Trend report we are releasing. But our routine, within 4 hours, we are releasing our consignment.
Right, sir. Thank you, sir. Ma'am, what is the procedure for import of dogs for breeding purpose? Probably from an academician who has just joined us.
Sir, it will be governed, if it is not governed by license from Director General Foreign Trade, they have to obtain a license from Director General Foreign Trade, and the health guidelines will be issued along with the DGFT license. So those dogs will be definitely quarantined as per the period mentioned in the health protocol, maybe 15 days or 30 days as applicable as it will be mentioned. And if necessary, any other testing, if whatever will be mentioned along with the health protocol, that will be followed.
Right. I'll just applaud once again the efforts of both of you as an ADC, as a AQCS officer, because I remember many years ago when I first visited a AQCS officer, the person standing just next before me was from a shuttlecock industry, saying that I am taking SIP for approval for feather imports into India. So that is the way you people deal. So all applauds to all of you. Thank you all. That brings me to the end of the question answer series. I thank you on behalf of myself, and I request Dr. Sundaresan, Mr. Sundaresan to.
Yeah, thank you very much, and everybody is waiting for the vote of thanks. Good. It gives me an immense pleasure to thank you all for participating in today's webinar on import and export of veterinary pharmaceuticals and nutraceuticals. The correct HSN code, perfect documentation of import and export process makes easy and smooth. Particularly, Dr. Manavalan has specified uploading the proper documents in IEC Gate for faster ADC clearance, and it helps the whole process smooth. We thank our INFA president, Mr. Vijay Tang, for addressing us today. We thank the press and media. We thank MC of INFA and supporting staff of INTAS, particularly for making this happen. We thank Dr. Jitendra Verma, Dr. Smita Mahajan, and Dr. Nitin Bhatia for organizing this webinar. We thank Mr. Satish Pasrija, Chairman, INFA Feed Supplement Subcommittee, for addressing us. We thank our speaker, Dr. Manavalan, ADC Chennai, for the fantastic presentation on import and export of veterinary pharmaceuticals and biological regulatory process. We thank Dr. Jimli Sharma for her insightful presentation on import of livestock products and feed supplement. The two eminent speakers have enriched our knowledge today. Let us give a good round of applause for their contribution and for their spending their valuable time.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, madam. Thank you very much, sir. Doctor.
Thank you.
Once again, we thank all INFA members and all the participants. Thanks and regards. God bless.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
It has been a great meeting.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you
you.
very much.
Thank you, Verma ji. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Pasrija sir, thank you
Madam,
very
thank
much.
you, Jimli. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. It was a pleasure
Thank
to
you.
participate. Thank you.
Same is here.
Same here.
We liked it.
Bhatia, bye-bye.